Everything is going well, right? We are going live now. Hare Krishna. Let's. Right. So Hare Krishna, everyone. Thanks for joining. Let's get today's session started. My apologies, as I was saying that we had doctor's appointment, so we ran a bit late. But we are here, nevertheless. Krishna's mercy. And usually the reason I don't take tension or stress is that if anything happens, it's because of Krishna's permission. So Krishna makes everything the way it's supposed to be. So let's resume back our Sri Īśopaniṣad session. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ji. And let's take the blessings from the Lordship, Guru Maharaj, and the Parampara. Feel free to join me. Ajnānatimirandhasya jnānajnāśhalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Samayam Dadati Swapadam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Advaitam Savadutam Parijanatam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandhu Gopesha Gopika Namostute Sapta Kanchan Gaurani Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Paramami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyo Pavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Shishupadaaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Vishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasa Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gurudev Maharaj ki jai. Jai Shri Radhe. Hare Krishna. So, Sri Īśopaniṣad, one of the main Upanishads which Srila Prabhupada ji always recommended everyone to do as a part of Bhakti Shastri course in Gaudiya Math, in ISKCON, what we call Brahma Madha Gaudiya Math. And we started with, invocation mantra, Om Purnamada Purnamidam. This mantra that the Lord is Purna and we emanate from the Lord and we are Purna. And this mantra itself is so powerful that we are, because most of the time in our life we look for things and we chase for material success. Sometimes we see the success in relationships, sometimes we see the success in the material achievements we get. But with this mantra, we can understand that we are actually already full, already complete. So we don't really need anything from anywhere. The completeness is there. That's our true nature. Satya Chitta Ananda. So it's this just one verse itself is enough to give the essence of whole Vedic culture. Then the mantra 1, which goes that everything belongs to Ishwar. So everything is complete, everything is perfect, because everything belongs to Ishwar. The only problem happens, so obviously if we live with this Īśopaniṣad principle, then we live in harmony. But the problems in life, so even though it says everything belongs to Ishwar, everything is perfect, it's easy to say that nothing seems to be perfect in this world, the material world we live in. Everything, like, well, the reason we got late today because we had to go to the doctor's appointment. So we can't say that everything was good, everything is perfect. Otherwise, there was no need to go to doctor. But things are perfect and they remain as perfect if we live in this Īśopaniṣad principle. And the same thing applies for this material body, that this material body will stay fit and healthy as long as we follow the principle. So there are laws and the rules for the body, because we are in material world, so we have to follow the material laws and the rules. So whichever country we are in, if we are in Middle East, we will follow Middle East rules. If we are in Dubai, if we are in Abu Dhabi, we will follow their own specific state rules. Like in America, we have the state and the federal. UK is much a smaller country, so in UK we have a national limit. So we can enjoy driving, but only as long as we follow the rules. If we break the rules, then there will be punishment. So if we can understand, even in material world, we have, so the reason we had to go to doctor, we usually go to the doctor because we have violated some rules. If we follow the rules, if we follow the rules to maintain our body, our mind, then there is no reason for anyone to go. So it's not that the things are not perfect. It's because we are. This is what we do on a daily basis. We violate the rules. Same thing goes. So if somebody got diabetes, for example, right? Then if there are rules for the person, if somebody is going to gym, somebody is doing Ride London, which is one of the cycling event, then there are rules to follow. Like another friend was saying that because he drinks heavily, but when he was preparing himself for the marathon, he stopped drinking for 3 months because he wanted his body to be fit in order to run that marathon. Which means that he understands very nicely that alcohol is not good. The body will perform better without alcohol. So it's not that you have to do something to see that perfectness. We need to stop violating the rules. We need to stop alcohol, non-vegetarian food, and basically follow the Vedic principles. If we do all that, then we will be able to realize our true nature. So the person who stopped alcohol, the body recovered itself. And such a beautiful way it is. Everything is perfect. Everything belongs to Ishwar. And we just live with that principle and we are in harmony. But the thing is, we work so hard working against it. And that's the reason we are in disharmony. So if everybody were vegetarian, COVID wouldn't have happened. Of course, it was, or the way we say it's a leela, is that it was supposed to happen. Like Krishna could have stopped Mahabharata, but there was a reason Mahabharata happened and 66 million, I think it says 66 or 68 million people died. Because it's a blanket, full cover response of their reactions, which was due for a while. And even after a lot of warnings, when we don't follow the rules, then we have to take the punishment. Just because we have broken the rules, we cannot blame that the laws law and order of a country, of a state, is wrong. No, we can't. So we just need to understand Īśopaniṣad principle, and we just need to work hard not to break it, and automatically we will realize where we are. And in Shri Īśopaniṣad, the studies where we are now, so there are 18 verses, and there are different categories, the different groups we have been, or Srila Prabhupada put together. Invocation to 3, so these are 4 mantras we did, that the benefits and the disharmony with the living in Īśopaniṣad principle, not living in Īśopaniṣad principle. 4 to 8, the spiritual vision we need to develop, which means sadhu, guru, sadhu, and shastra. We need to follow these 3, and then we will be able to develop that spiritual vision. Or if material vision is gone, the spiritual vision will come out. It's like the sun has always been there, but we just need to work hard not to be under the cloud. If we are under the cloud and keep complaining that the sun is not there, sun has been shining. So Krishna is there always. And that's the reason those who has realized, so for example, for the simplicity, if you call Brahman realized, because that's the very first aspect. Brahman realized people, they are liberated. They could feel Krishna anywhere and everywhere in all the circumstances, right? Because they are not under the cloud, under the material cloud. And they can see the sun all over the place. We can't see. And we might get surprised how that person, we might be able to see that person is in the sun. And this has happened. A lot of people said to Gautam Buddha, to even Srila Prabhupada, that we live in the same temple, we eat the same food, but how come you are always in trances? You are always full of love and compassion for others. And me, I feel so bad even for myself. I need to work on myself, but you help others to work on themselves. How? And the Prabhupada said, that is just the consciousness. Once our consciousness is purified, that's it. That's it. And purified, which means it's there. The pure consciousness is there. We have just covered it. So even purified is not technically correct, because it's not that the consciousness somehow become impure. It just gets covered. And there's a difference between two. So if we have milk, for example, we add something in milk, and we will see now whatever we added in the milk is polluted. And maybe there is a way we can kind of take that mixture out. Now, of course, the sugar could be there, which is once dissolved, is hard to take out of the milk, right? But how about if a layer is there on top of the milk and we just can't see milk? Milk is there right under that layer. And those people, I remember especially in India, drink a lot of tea, and it's boiling tea. And if boiling hot tea will leave in the normal room temperature, then a layer is there on top of it. And that layer is just because it was too hot. As soon as that liquid, that tea, comes out in room temperature, a layer builds up on the top. And then a lot of mothers I've seen, they just pick that layer from the middle and take it out. And that's a covering. So that layer is not making that tea impure. That layer just covers the tea, and we can just take that layer. And this is what it is. It's not that our consciousness become impurified. It's just that pure consciousness is always there behind, but we are so engrossed in material world that we can't see. And it's so easy for us to understand. I always do with the kids, because kids, they are always in their dream life, and we are as well. But it's from parents, it's easier for us to see it to them, and from devotees' perspective, we can see each other and we can help each other. So same thing in the room, 10 kids will go, and when they will come out, we can ask that, what did you notice? And a lot of time, things which were right at the front of them, they might not see. Or maybe 1 or 2 out of 10 will see. Why? Maybe because of their experience, because of their age, they were not interested in those things. And if there is a video game, there is a PSP, all the kids will pick up. And if they are females, and I'm trying to generalize here, if they are females, they might be able to pick maybe musical things or maybe the drawing in the art and the features. So based on our consciousness, we see the world. But the world is, or the consciousness is actually pure. We have just covered it from material things. How we can improve it? Getting the knowledge, getting the spiritual knowledge. And this is where the next segment is started. From 9 to 11, 3 verses, and it's very gradual. Remember, the whole reason Purana came into practice because Upanishads were getting very hard. And again, why? Because of our consciousness. Our consciousness, well, when I say our, the human consciousness, there was a time humans, disciples, students, they just used to learn from their teachers straight away. They will hear once and that's it. They will remember for the rest of their life. They don't even need to write anywhere. And still there are some gurukuls like that. And philosophy in terms of Vedic mantras could be explained. But then the Kali Yuga got into, I would say, advanced further in one way. Kali Yuga got started. As Kali Yuga is advancing, the consciousness is getting covered with multi-layers. And we all know the layers. Layer could be Bollywood, Hollywood. Layer could be cricket, sports, football. Layer could be the nice dresses. All material, all material. None of them is absolute because it keeps changing. So absolute Satya Chitanand is there, but all these material layers are on top of it. So we need to understand what is right and what is wrong. Vidya, the knowledge, understanding. And this is what we will be doing now. Now the reason verse 9, 10, and 11, and we will see very soon, these 3 verses, they go hand in hand because of the way we say. I think there is a course as well in the universities these days, especially in West, which call as a comparative study of religion. So the Eastern religion, so there are many Eastern religions and there are Western religions, and then they compare those 2 together. Or if you are in East, you compare all the Eastern, so Jainism, Buddhism, Advaita, Dvaita, and even in Dvaita we have Vashishta Dvaita. And then Vashishta Dvaita is from Ramanujacharya, who we recently, well, in the last week, we celebrated his appearance day. And then we, of course, have Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji propagated and started and emphasized, which Srila Prabhupada expanded further. Such a beautiful way if we see the lineage of acharyas we have. And when we have these appearance days and disappearance days, then it helps to take even a slight uncovering of those layers we have. If we've been to, I forget the name of the place, there's a Meenakshi temple in the south. We visited there, and Ramanujacharya's body is still preserved there and is sitting right there in that body, what it used to be. If in case you would ever get the chance to see Meenakshi temple, and it's there. And this is what one of the Prabhuji was dwelling more into. Now, comparative studies, the way we understand things is not in the form of right and wrong, but in form of what's better. So there is a difference. This is right, this is wrong. This is black, this is white, right? Whichever way we say right and wrong. But then there are shades of gray, right? But this is better than that one. And this is what Krishna has done in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. That a few places in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said to Arjuna, So when Arjun said to Krishna that, I don't understand, you have given so many different paths, I'm confused. Then Krishna said, okay, let's take a step back. Could you do this? Anya Vilashita Shunya? Could you do unalloyed, unflinching devotional service? Could you do that? Do bhakti without asking for anything. Most of the times when we do prayers, when we do puja, we worship the Lord, we always ask for things. That's not bhakti at all. Bhakti is that the bhakti in literal sense is bhava and prema. So there are 9 steps in the bhakti, and the topmost are bhava and prema. So when we have prema, because of that bhava, right? Because of those, let's say it's not literal translation in English, by bhava, if we call emotions or feelings. We have those emotions and feelings, and because of those emotions and feelings, the love has developed, prema. Again, love is not the literal translation of prema in bhakti, but this is a close one. And because of those feelings like the parents have for the kids, not that one day they will grow up and they will help us, but because we know this is our duty being parents to grow kids, or to help in the society, or to work in the whichever job we are in, or if we are in volunteer charities, we serve by not expecting anything in return. That's the top bhava and prema. If you could do it, that's the best, Krishna said. But if you can't do it, all right, okay, let's take a step back. Could you do Nishkam Karma Yoga? Could you do action whichever you are doing, but drop the fruits, drop the expectations of the fruits of your activities? Could you do that? Or you can't do Nishkam Karma Yoga, and then of course Dhyana and Jnana also comes. But could you do Sakama? Like if you can't do that, do good karma. Even if you want to expect results, at least do good karma. Right? Don't do vikarma, doing bad things because they are giving you bad results. At least don't do that. All right, okay. Could you do karma kanda? Karma kanda is very close to sakama. That you do pray to demigods expecting in return, which is in our Vedas, there are lots of karma kandas. And there was a time, especially at the time of just before Buddha, a lot of karma kandas used to happen. And because of karma kandas, a lot of animal sacrifice was there. And that was the reason of Lord Buddha for Krishna to appear as Lord Buddha. So if we understand that they are grades, and that's the reason that everyone, whatever background, whatever the level of consciousness one is at, everyone is accepted. And Srila Prabhupada is a great example of it. There was no one whom Srila Prabhupada said, you are not fit for bhakti. Can you imagine that? And there are so many examples of it. So many examples of it. There was one Prabhuji, a direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who said, who got into touch with Srila Prabhupada, his life changed. But later on, he was caught by police, and he said to Srila Prabhupada, I'm so sorry. Because of, before I met all the bad deeds I did, I had to go to prison. Srila Prabhupada said, it's okay. It's okay. Krishna was born in prison. It's okay. Mahatma Gandhi went into prison. It's okay. And he said later on in his memories when he wrote about Srila Prabhupada, at that point, even he said, and he came from a wealthy family. He said, my parents the parents, obviously because they were wealthy, they were very reputed. And when the child was going to the jail, he said, their parents said that because of you, our reputation is gone. Not gone, like tarnished, like decreased a bit. And that's the reason you are not our son anymore. We don't want to keep any relation with you. They say, even my parents didn't accept me, but Srila Prabhupada, he went to the prison. He propagated Hare Krishna movement in the prison. He came out and he joined Prabhupada full time, and he worked tirelessly. And there are so many other examples. Bhakti Tirth Swamiji Maharaj, who was in America, and he went to Africa, and he worked. He was he was a black body, so he worked a lot for his people, and he said the same thing. He said, Prabhupada accepted. When I was with Prabhupada, I never felt I was black, because I could feel it that Prabhupada is treating me as a spirit soul rather than a black body. Imagine how powerful it is. This is the very first Atma Jnana which Krishna gave to Arjuna. And this is what Srila Prabhupada practiced all his life. And Bhakti Tirth Swamiji Maharaj, there's still YouTube videos, if you see, powerful. And they are great warrior. I think Spiritual Warrior is a book written by him as well. Why? Because of whichever, in Vedic culture, whatever the background is, wherever we are, the person is accepted. The person is accepted, and there are different routes given. But remember, not that this is the best route, but maybe this is the best route suited for one person right now. Once we have reached to that level, let's move on to the next one. And this is what this philosophy of grades being accepted in these 3 mantras. And that's the reason we discussed that background. That in number 9, what's considered as Vidya, in number 10, that will be considered as Avidya. And then similar thing will go to number 11 as well. So it will get confusing a bit, but stay with me. The same principle of grades are there. So somebody who is not there at the level of mantra 11, at least that person could be on mantra 10. If the person cannot be on mantra 10, then mantra 9 should be the foundation. But remember, if we are at mantra 9, we should not stay on mantra 9 thinking that this is the absolute Vidya. No, we should move on to number 10, and then we should gradually enhance ourselves further to number 11. And this is what happens in Krishna consciousness. Nobody would say, and when I say nobody, I haven't heard any of Maharaji, who are apparently the sannyasis in the Gaudiya Math, that I'm perfect. Would never. They will always say we are work in progress, which means that nobody will say I'm 100% Krishna consciousness, which means there is always a scope of improvement. Wherever we are, we don't stay there. We keep working hard to enhance our consciousness even further. And keep working on it, day and night. And this is the beauty. In material world, if you see, very soon we reach to the saturation. Maybe we found our dream house. Of course, we will always be dreaming for the dream house, but wherever we are, all right, okay, this is materially good for us. We might not move now for another 10 years till be okay. But some people say, oh, I think I'm going to retire from it. Retire from this job, retire from this house, retire from this body, and we are saturated. But spiritual seekers never, ever. And that's the difference between a river which is flowing and a pond or a lake which is not flowing. And you will know only the flowing river which is able to keep itself clean. Where water is not moving, then that water won't be able to be clean for long. So with that, another category, the way we have seen it, and this is what we say thematic. So there are different themes in the mantra. We are on the 3rd theme at the moment, correct and incorrect knowledge for understanding Ishwar. Based on that, we will move on to the worship. Based on that, we will move on to the prayers. That's a beautiful, logical way of thinking. Remember one thing though, that like in Bhagavad Gita, we have 18 chapters, 700 verses, moving from chapter 3, Karma Yoga, to Jnana Yoga, and then fifth, combining those two together, and sixth, Dhyana Yoga. When Krishna had this dialogue with Arjun, then Krishna didn't say, "All right, okay, now the chapter 4 will start." Right? That was just a conversation. Similarly here, oh, again, this is 19, this should be corrected, this is 18. These 18 mantras, they were just said by Ishwar. And then the followers later, for their own understanding, made the themes. Right? So sometimes, if in case we go somewhere else and we see different themes, or maybe within the same sampradaya, sometimes we see different themes, understand it's not in the conflict. The purpose of those categories, those groupings, those divisions could be different. The purpose could be different. And this has happened. For example, there could be one where only the prayers been discussed. So again, the reason I'm emphasizing on that, because if we don't have the context, we think there are contradictions. A lot of youngsters these days, they move away from the Vedic culture because either they don't get the answers to why, because we don't have the justification and explanation, because we don't read scriptures. Even if we read scriptures, which we should, then the second obstacle comes in very quickly, that it's contradicting. We need to understand it's not contradicting, it's apparent. And there is a slide I put together because I was listening there, and there's a word in Sanskrit, and I could not find the English word for that, but the Sanskrit word is mumamsa. And we will see, and this word comes into Bhagavad Gita as well, but we will see how our Vedic scriptures and the take and the attitude we should have towards life as spiritual seekers. So this is mantra 9, where we are, and if you see the translation as well. So the verse itself, andham, and we can see, let me share the, okay, I'm just trying to copy, which is not, let me just share the link of, okay, it's not there, I'm just going to share the link if in case, if anyone hasn't got the book, Īśopaniṣad, purpose provided by Srila Prabhupada, then I'll just share the link from Vedabase, and I will share in YouTube live as well. So, because we will cover it for next few weeks. And this is the reason we are studying. We are just not reading it through. We are studying different examples and all. But word-to-word translation is given. Otherwise, in Sanskrit itself, it says, Andham tamha parishyanti. Do we have any Hindi or Sanskrit? No, not in here. So if you try to read in Sanskrit, it's a relatively easier if you know Hindi, or if you know the lipi, the way it's been written. So andham dama pavishyanti ye avidya. Remember the way Sanskrit goes? Let me get my pointer back. The way Sanskrit goes, it says ye, and then before it says vidyam, but there is because of this, I forgot the Sanskrit name of this dash, which is apostrophe. There's a Sanskrit name for it, but this is ye avidya. Upasate is kind of worship. Upasana, it comes from tato bhayaiva te tamo yavu vidya yam rataha. So we can understand the knowledge, the understanding we mentioned, but in English it will be much easier to understand. However, the beauty of Sanskrit is if you know the word-to-word meaning, obviously it's much easier for us to remember it. And a lot of times in our life when we need it, rather than the translation, the Sanskrit comes back to our mind. Beautiful verses if we can memorize it. But in English, for our understanding, those who engage in the culture of this word itself, nascent activities, like let's say material activities, shall enter into the darkest region of ignorance. So there is mode of ignorance, and then the darkest region. Worse still are those engaged in the culture of so-called knowledge. And this is not straightforward. And this is the reason I was saying that there was a time only Vedas were there. Vedas, they all are poetry. But then we go Upanishad. In Upanishads, we still have some stories. But then later we got Purans, which are full of stories. Right? And the language is much easier to understand. But this is in between Upanishads. Upanishads are not easy to understand and follow. Especially if somebody will just pick mantra 9 without having the context of mantra 10 and 11. It will be very hard to understand. Hence, what we will do, and this is what Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji has done it, so all glories to him, that do number 9, 10, and 11 together, just for understanding. We will do 10 and 11 separately as well, but for the understanding. So, all 3 verses in this group are about Vidya and Avidya. So, what's knowledge? So, Vidya is knowledge, Avidya, which is not knowledge. Remember in Sanskrit, A, English alphabet, in Sanskrit, right at the front of any word will negate it. Vidya, knowledge, Avidya, which is not knowledge. And of course, if it's not knowledge, we call it ignorance. So, Avidya, ignorant pursuit of SG, sense gratification. So, if we just work hard for sense gratification, but it's ignorant, we don't even know that we are following the sense gratification. A lot of people, they just work hard to collect the money, let's say, but they don't know what they're going to do with the money. They just keep working. There are others, as per mantra 9, there are others who has the knowledge for pursuing sense gratification. They know that they looking for money, they want to earn more and more money. But why? Because they want to have sense gratification. So it says, mantra 9 says, this is Vidya. So those who know the knowledge, those who have the knowledge how to utilize the money for sense gratification, that's knowledge. But there are others who don't even have the knowledge how to pursue for sense gratification. There are many. Easier for us to understand if we compare humans and animals. Right? Humans and animals. Animals, they don't know. They don't know how to enjoy their life as such. Humans are a bit better than enjoying compared to them. But does that mean that's the best place to be? Having the knowledge for the sense gratification, is this the best? As per number 9, it says this is better than you don't know. You don't even know that. Now, another very typical example could be what happens these days in the society. And unfortunately, we are not the exception either, which is that all the parents will ask their kids, of course, because they have done it, their forefathers have done it, and this is the culture which we're going to pass to our children. We say, work hard so you can have better house, bigger house, expensive clothes, faster cars, good promotion, nice holidays. Work hard. And as per mantra 9, this is what we do. And this is better. This is better than somebody who does not work hard, who does not earn any money, who cannot support the family, who cannot support the society, who is, in one terms, is a burden. So I'm choosing my words carefully. But those who are not paying tax, some people consider them as a burden on the system because of 2 ways. They don't pay tax. No, they neither pay tax, but on the downside, they take money from the government, right? The first step could be that don't take money from the government. Even if you don't pay tax to government, at least don't take money. Yeah. But even if you don't pay tax and you don't take money, that's just the intermediate step. That's not the best way. Best way is moving further. But even if you pay tax, that's still material. So mantra 9 is just making us differentiate between material ignorance and material knowledge, right? So if we have knowledge for pursuing sense gratification, that's actually a bit better than having no knowledge at all. So those who work hard and enjoy their life, earn money, support the society, support their family, they are better than those who don't, as per mantra 9. But mantra 10 says, those, so see this? So if we can see, if you see, this is Vidya. This is Vidya as per mantra 9, but the same is Avidya in mantra 10. Why? Because of grades, because we are moving further now. Now, the arrow will go down, but this is the enhanced Krishna consciousness. So as per mantra 9, ignorance is not good. Knowledge of sense gratification is a bit better, which means we are more learned. We can earn money, we can support family and society. But as per mantra 10, this is avidya. Why? Because the real vidya is the knowledge for the pursuit of Krishna consciousness. Right? And mantra 11 goes further. So this stays the same. So if we go and go green. So this goes, or green doesn't come because the background is green. Let's go for the blue. So this knowledge for Krishna consciousness, it stays the same as the ultimate, but this increases. So knowledge pursued for the sense gratification, this goes further. Now what does that say? That says that now the knowledge for the bodily maintenance. So it's not that you want to enjoy your senses, you're gratifying your senses. Now you're just maintaining your body, right? Maintaining the body, which means you might be doing exercise, yoga. So not that we are going and getting ourselves pampered. So some people will go maybe for body massage, for example, right? So that comes into the pursuit of sense gratification, which is better than somebody who is just taking drugs and is on the street, which is this bit, ignorance. But somebody who's taking care of the body and enjoying is here knowledge of pursuing, having a sense gratification. But what we're saying is that better than that is just to do enough to maintain your body, which could be yoga, which could be, let's say, for the muscle strengthening, if somebody goes for yoga or many other fitness classes, not to have the sense gratification, but just to maintain the body. Why? So we can develop spiritually. So the body, we need to keep it nice, we need to keep it clean, we need to keep it maintained. Why? Because body is the vehicle towards the knowledge for Krishna consciousness. Anyone got any questions, any queries on this? Because this understanding is very important. All three mantras come together as a group in this before we can dwell any further. Prabhupada has given purpose, and we will see the purpose of each of mantra. But we do need to understand, because if we see, and hopefully we can understand now, that why somebody who will just see mantra 9 and say, wow, Shri Īśopaniṣad, mantra 9 says that knowledge of pursuing sense gratification is vidya, which means that's a knowledge, which means I'm knowledgeable. And the person will say, well, I'm doing it, I'm following Veda, Upanishads are part of Veda, I'm following the Vedic scriptures. And this is what people used to do. At the time of Lord Buddha, as we were saying, that people were saying, well, we are following Karma Kanda. We are doing animal sacrifices. They are part of Veda. Yes, they are part of Veda. But that's, the mantra 9 is valid when we are not capable of mantra 10. Mantra 10 is valid when we are not capable of mantra 11. So we should be here. We should be doing knowledge for the pursuit of Krishna consciousness. And for that, maintain the body. But Okay, we want to pursue Krishna consciousness, but we want to go further rather than just maintaining the body. We want to have a bit of sense gratification as well, which means we might have to watch Bollywood movies, Hollywood movies. We want to enjoy some songs with the kirtans. We sometimes want to go out and eat as well, rather than eating at home. Okay, that's this bit. However, it's the best only to eat Krishna Prasad. Cook at home, offer to the Lord, and then eat it. But okay, we are not that pure, so we can sometimes eat outside, take the name of the Lord and have it, rather than eating those things which are completely forbidden, which is here. Right? So I hope this is clear. Anyone got any questions, any queries, any comments, anything anyone would like to say on this? Because this is very important. Otherwise, stand alone, it will be hard to understand. And as you can see, if we will not read Srila Prabhupadaji's purpose, if we will not listen to senior Vaishnavas lectures like this has been given by Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji, it's available on YouTube as well. If you type Shri Īśopaniṣad Mantra 9, it's available there. Otherwise, bhakticourses.com, what we can see on the right, and this is there. So that's the reason whenever we do this study, we need to do this study in the association, from the guidance of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Right? So I hope we have made a bit of progress further towards enhancing our Krishna consciousness. The time has reached now, and if there is any question, query, otherwise we shall resume back next week. Please, I've shared the link, read it through, and we will have discussion, and we will get further in Mantra 9. And with that, I would like to thank you, each and every one of you, for your association. Because of you, able to get the chance to read and serve Guru and Gauranga. With that, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Maharaj ki jai, Shri Radhe. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Ajaji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.